watching. You are watching.
You're watching. You guys are watching.
You're watching Soulful Discussion.
Alright, so hi, how you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
All right. So how did our paths cross today? How did you and I just meet right now?
Actually, we were just walking and you asked, could you interview me? And I first said no, and then I was like, I'm gonna give this brother a chance. So.
And I appreciate that. Like you don't know sometimes how many no's you can go out and get.
Yes,
so.
I get it. I'm in sales. I'm a realtor in Oklahoma, so I get it.
I definitely appreciate it. All right, so hi, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. I'm doing great. And so how did our paths just cross right now? How did you and I just meet?
I was shopping
Okay.
at Cotton On, and you were outside when I came out.
Absolutely. I just approached somebody right in front of you, and then like she said no, and I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I see if she'll be willing to do the interview. So what did I approach about? What's the interview going to be about?
You said reflexology, opinions on. I don't know the other stuff. So reflexology and what else?
Mental health and feet.
Mental health,
So how you doing, ladies?
Good, and you?
Doing great. So how did our paths just cross today? How did we guys just meet? All three of us.
Well, we're just eating ice cream here.
Absolutely. And I approached you. What did I approach you guys about?
You just asked us questions if we were okay, to do an interview.
Okay. And what's the interview going to be about?
Mental health.
Mental health. What else? Two other topics.
Cover me.
Cover
I
me.
remember the other two. I remember mental health.
I love it. She's like, cover me. Reflexology, mental health, and then the subject of feet, how you guys feel about it, okay? So hi, good morning, how you doing?
Good morning, good, how are you?
All right. So how did our paths cross today? How did you and I just meet right now?
I was just walking my dog and then you approached me.
Absolutely. What did I approach you about?
Mental health, feet, and reflexology, I believe.
Absolutely. So hi, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine, enjoying the day.
Absolutely. So I just approached you right now. What did I approach you about? What are we doing today?
We are doing an interview.
Absolutely, and for what?
For YouTube.
YouTube, that's right. So what did I tell you the subject was about? What were we going to talk about? I gave you 3 topics. You remember?
Oh, no.
Okay, so it was about how you feel about feet, mental health, reflexology.
Okay.
Good. Today, how did you and I just meet right now?
Well, I was currently making a playlist for a class that I need to teach tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just had my headphones in, and I didn't want to be sitting inside, so I came to the bluff to be in the sun, and then you found me.
Absolutely, yes.
Can I interview you?
And what did I tell you the interview was going to be about? What are we talking about?
Okay, so...
So hi, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. So how did our paths cross today? How did you and I just meet right now?
I am just sitting here at Bluff Park. I was journaling, listening to some music, and you came by, asked if I wanted to be interviewed, and I obliged.
Absolutely. And so what is the interview going to be about? What are we going to talk about today?
Feet, reflexology.
One other.
What was the third?
So it's mental health and So hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you?
Doing good. So how did our paths cross today? How did you and I just meet right now?
Well, walking to the beach because I was smoking a blunt.
Oh, okay, all right.
Relaxing this day.
Nice. Yeah, just enjoying the day out here at the beach in Long Beach. All right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. What did I approach you about? What are we doing today?
You approached me about people, about their insecurity, about their feet, or about why they don't like him.
Okay, yeah. So it was 3 topics here. So you're right about that. The first one. It's also we're gonna talk a little bit about mental health, dealing with anxiety and depression, and social media, how it kind of has an effect, and then also reflexology. So if you don't know what that is, it'll be interesting to talk about that. So hi, how you doing today?
I'm good.
All right.
Tired.
Exactly. How did our paths just cross today? How did you and I just meet right now?
Well, I'm at a convention, and I was just coming over here trying to find somewhere to sit down where there's not 10 million people.
Absolutely. And what did I approach you about?
An interview.
For my YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
And what is the interview about?
I already forgot. I'm sorry.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right. How did our paths cross right now?
I was roller skating down the path.
Hit a mean stop, guys. A mean stop. And what did I approach you about? What are we doing today?
My opinions on, I remember reflexology.
Yep.
Something soulness.
Soulness. So your opinions about the subject of feet, mental health, reflexology.
Feet, mental health, reflexology.
Yep. Let's dig into the first question, okay? What are your thoughts on how the world has become more aware of mental health, kind of like what you were saying? What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's good that people are becoming more aware of it.
Yeah.
I think there are resources
Yeah.
to make sure that it's dealt with. I don't think policing and calling the police is the thing, because I don't feel like they have the training to be able
to deal with that.
To deal with it, right?
So true.
So just there needs to be more resources and availability for education, tools, and treatment for people that deal with mental health. For
So
sure.
true, and not only that, but like a lot of those police officers that you're talking about deal with like mental health issues and things like that.
Exactly.
So you can't like really solve something like that, or
Right.
send somebody else out that has ailments like that, right?
Right.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts about like? Let's start with the first question, okay? What are your thoughts on how the world has become more aware of mental health and like what we're like kind of doing about it?
I think it's a good thing. I think everything that is psychological is equally physiological. So if you don't feel good physically, it's going to affect your mental health. If you don't feel good mentally, it's going to affect your physical health.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that there's more consideration into how we feel. Like, one-off example, like imagine going to work after you just had your heart broken, like say your significant other cheated on you.
Jesus.
That's like just as bad, maybe worse than going to work with a
to all
cold.
of us too, man.
Yeah, you're just like,
how do I get through
I'm
this?
doing okay, I'm doing okay. But it's like worse than coming to work with like a sore throat.
Yeah.
Like it affects productivity, it affects like your output.
So many other things.
Yeah, so it's nice in that sense that it's being more acknowledged as like a serious thing and not so much like this get over it kind of thing. But at the same time, I do feel as if like people are becoming a bit more narcissistic. Not in a terrible way, but in a way that it's like, I think people kind of use mental health as an excuse for the way that they are. So like,
so you got some positives that come from it, where it's like people who actually need help get help.
And
people
it's
who
not,
are just like, who might just be bad people who try to use like the mental health.
Yeah, and I don't think they do it intentionally. But I do think that there are people who are kind of just like, well, I'm the way that I am because my mom did this to my dad and I just can't help it. It's like, you know what your problems are, but you're not really doing anything. Doing anything to fix it. It's just like, well, that's my quirk. It's not cute. Like, do something about it. So I do think that it can be negative in that sort of sense. People aren't dealing with it. They're just like, well, that's just who I am.
Exactly.
Using it as an excuse to hurt people unintentionally, perhaps. Yeah.
Cool. If there was one thing you could change about social media, what would it be?
I want to say like fakeness and unattainable people being idolized that are unattainably like attractive, that they don't really look like that. I wish it was like, you know how they give like the CDC warning about COVID? They should do like, this is a filter.
The same
like
thing.
let people know it's not real, something like that. It's too impressionable on young
exactly.
women.
That's what
I feel like if you're old enough to know, it's fine. But when you're young and it matters most, they don't know.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's so. I like that. Yes. So in terms of social media, are you guys aware of women who have like turned modeling their feet into like a business?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And so what are your thoughts about that? How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I've known a friend who's been trying to turn her personal account into a modeling account, which is what she wants to do, and I respect that. I mean, she's got it.
Hey, do your thing.
She's got it. But it's like the increase in how many people have been turning their Instagrams into like, we want to be like this like model, we want to be like this like YouTuber, we want to do this, we want to do that. It's kind of alarming and crazy because it started at like an age of like, say 21 and up, like in the older generation, and then now it's like going down to like even like the youth. I've seen like YouTubers like putting their kids up on channels, and I'm like, wow.
It's really crazy, like in terms of like just what you're allowed to put up, and like just it's just so big. Like I tell people all the time, like YouTube is such a broad thing. You can pretty much make a YouTube channel about anything.
Anything. Yeah. And I think like it's crazy because like it's good, but also like I think like if you're about to expose to like the younger generation, it's like it's good for them too, but also kind of bad because you've heard many celebrities say where once they get that popularity hit, the paparazzi and all that stuff, it's like they can't not say function normally as a human being, but they wish they can take a break from being who they are, just be their own personal self, human selves, go out normally without being recognized, like, oh my gosh, can I have your autograph?
That's such and such,
yeah, so I feel like kids getting that exposure so young, it just kind of like inhibits like their like growth over time. So
what are your thoughts?
I mean,
I'm not gonna tell someone that they don't have like it's your life. Do what you want with it. If you're happy and it makes you happy, then go for it. You know, like we're in a day and age where opportunities are endless. Especially with social media, where you can just go ahead, like put yourself out there. I mean, by all means, go ahead. But like as my friend was saying, you know, there's like limits to it, because when some people kind of you want to aim high, obviously.
Yeah. You don't want to aim.
And like when you don't hit that like high, it takes you down, and you're like, why am I not like? My friend has more likes than me. Why do I not have? And we're doing the same thing. Then it definitely kind of just like puts this again back with standards. It puts the standard on you, and you're like, you know, I have to meet this, and it's hard. Like it's really hard. Also maintaining that image is extremely difficult, because now people see you as what you are on like, you know, social media, and like when they see you outside of it, they're just like, why are you
you're not really that person.
And then like it also puts like this kind of like not like a facade or whatever, but it's like for people who are fans, they're like, you think you know who you're looking at until something actually happens, and you're like, I can't believe they did that, or they'd look like this, and you're like, yeah, everyone's a human in their own way.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I don't know. Do you guys ever watch Black Mirror? That
yes.
show?
Yeah.
You remember the episode with Bryce Dallas Howard? I think there was that episode is exactly about what you're talking about. Like the whole society was all about likes, and like you had to be at a certain level. And
that
like,
was crazy.
As you started to drop, like you ended up being like in a lower class, and it's just like I feel like that show is like so great in terms of like when it comes to social media and things like that. It's like right on point. Yeah. That's great. What are some things that bring? I like it. Are you aware of women who have like tried modeling their feet into like a business, like for themselves?
Yeah, it's super common in cosplay and everything.
Yeah.
I know like a lot of my friends do it and stuff, whether they're using Patreon or even OnlyFans and stuff.
OnlyFans, a lot of different ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it? Are you like?
I actually do it myself.
Oh, okay.
I don't do like porn or anything like that. I do like more just like nudes and like posting exclusive content and stuff on those websites.
That's dope.
So yeah,
that's dope.
But nothing against people who like to do
absolutely.
Like somebody's. I think if there's consumers, somebody's got to do it.
Absolutely. What are some things that bring you anxiety? Like you don't have to go too deep into it, just maybe like more surface level. What are some things that like bring you anxiety, and you don't have to get too like in depth, but just like in general, like what are some things that bring you anxiety, and then what steps do you take to like overcome those?
Well, I actually have what they call generalized anxiety.
Oh, okay.
So it's difficult to know. I think that's why I get the anxiety, because sometimes I don't necessarily know what's triggering the anxiety. So, sorry, your question is, what are my thoughts about anxiety?
Oh, no. What are some things that bring you anxiety? Like, so you said you have generalized anxiety, but like, what type of steps do you take to overcome that once you start to feel like anxious or anything like that?
So, like I said, sometimes it's difficult to know what triggers it. I've noticed that when I'm being manipulated and I'm not necessarily catching on, I start getting anxiety because I know something's not right.
Okay.
I just can't exactly pinpoint, so that's one. Okay. And then things that I do that actually help, I just had to try different things and talk to a therapist actually. So that's one, talking to a therapist.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For me, journaling helps out a lot.
Yeah, and actually a lot of therapists like prescribe that for you, like if you are going to them, right, to like journal your thoughts out and like.
They do recommend, for some people have said that that doesn't really do much for them, but it works really well for me. Meditating, even if it's just for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Doing that.
That's a big one right there.
Yeah, no, it's actually made a big difference in my life. Meditating, sometimes breathing.
Breathing exercises.
Yeah, breathing like exercise. And what else? I don't know. Sometimes I just need to sit there and think about things, the uncomfortable feelings, but at least it helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So sometimes just as you go back and you think about it, like, okay, this situation right here, you become more clear on it. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So what are some things you like to be complimented about? Like if somebody's going to give you a compliment, what would you rather it be about?
About my English.
Your English? Okay, So I'm gonna give you a compliment right now because your English has been perfectly fine. Like I've been talking to you, we've been talking now for 8.5 minutes, and I've had no problems like understanding anything you're saying. So you're doing really well. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In your opinion, okay, what is the difference between someone who likes feet and someone who has a foot fetish?
That's a good question. I don't know. Is there a difference?
I would say that there is, because there are some people who are just like admirers, like to them, like they look at the foot the same way somebody might look at hair or eyes. And there are some people who like.
Oh, I see. So you're talking about like the drastic.
Yeah, but I want to know like what you think the difference is, because like that's how I look at it, right? I feel like somebody who only gets pleasure from like feet, like that's the only way they can get pleasure. I would feel like that's having a foot fetish, as opposed to like somebody who's like. Yeah, they appreciate the foot, but like the whole, like women or men, whatever they're into, like they appreciate the whole thing as a whole.
Yeah. The difference, I mean, I don't know, someone that like seeks that on their phones all the time. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion towards either.
I'm like, this is your opinion. You're like, I don't have an opinion.
I don't have an opinion. I'm Switzerland.
Oh, okay. You're in your opinion, okay. What is the appropriate way for like a man to approach a woman? Like, so somebody who's a stranger to them, like, what's the appropriate way to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly, especially around here, I'll get approached quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I tend to like, typically friendly interactions, but sometimes people will just start with a comment just to like get your reaction, which is not ideal. So maybe just like asking like, are you open to chatting right now is nice, not just like going in hard with a big conversation.
Maybe even a salutation before that though, like, hi, how are you doing today? Like something like that.
For sure. Something like that. Just opening it up to a conversation. I'm pretty talkative and I like talking to people, so I tend to.
You're a therapist, of course. You get to talk to
I tend to be open to it, as long as I don't perceive it as like threatening, which luckily has not happened anytime soon.
Yeah.
I'm pretty open to things, but also just like judging people's body language and making sure maybe not to approach someone who's like actively invested in their own thing or like actively invested in a different conversation, just like not being intrusive.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very important. Like, I always have to walk a fine line when I'm going out and doing this, because first of all, I won't even approach people who don't give me eye contact. Like if they're looking down the entire time, like, not approachable, like just keep going. So I'm always very careful about that.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the difference between someone who likes feet and someone who has a foot fetish? What's something that you would consider to be a deal breaker? Like if you started dating somebody, or if you were gonna start dating somebody, what's a deal breaker for you? Like, nah, can't go for that.
I was gonna say drugs, like certain drugs. I don't mind if they like smoke weed or drink, but like the other heavy shit.
So the hard stuff.
Yeah, because like I've been with a guy for 5.5 years that they crystal, and I'm just like, like I ultimatum on crystal or me. You chose that. I was like,
okay. Damn, that's rough, man. Damn. Okay.